Here, I hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I'm flying solo today. Bron's back at work and I'm finished for the day. So I'm going to cook up something. We actually went to the Brisbane markets, a couple of Brisbane Eat Street markets over on North Shore about a week ago, and I stumbled across the Okonomiyaki Japanese savoury pancake. I've never tried it before. I gave it a crack, really liked it, so here I am. I'm going to have a crack at it at home. I've looked up the keto version. I did a Google search and I ended up coming up to rule.me and got the recipe there. I'll post a link in the comments later when I'm finished. I have done a couple of variations in amongst the recipe, so it's not true to the recipe that I'm going to give the link to, mostly because I had other stuff in the cupboard that I wanted to use instead. So I've got a bit of a gurgling noise going on at the moment because I've got the dishwasher running. So anyway, without further ado, basically the name of the dish roughly translates to how you like it. So that gave me the freedom to use a few different recipes. With the recipe link that I'll post, the macros that go with that recipe, the calories are 487.3, the fats are 45.02 grams, and the net carbs are 4.16 grams, and the protein is 10.32. Alright, so let's get cracking. So in this mixing bowl here, I've got some butter and cream cheese, so it's about a tablespoon each of those. Then I've got a mixture here of, I'm actually using hemp flour, and it says to use almond flour, but I'm using hemp flour today. It also says to use flaxseed meal. I'm using LSA meal. There's a little bit of baking powder and some salt, and we mix that in there as well. Get all that in there. While it's starting, I'll get the bacon going, because there is a bit of a cooking process at the end, which can take up to 5 to 7 minutes. So we'll get that cranked. So basic idea is to get that well mixed. It's a good idea to soften up all the butter and cheese before you get cracking into it. I've also got an egg to stir in there as well. We'll get that mixed up. Now, I haven't tried this before. This is my very first time doing this, so I've got a little bit of an idea of what I'm doing, because I've done a little bit of research and before going live, but anything can happen, and that's one of the fun things about reviewing recipes when you're live, is that it's real, it's raw, and you get to see how not to make mistakes. So rather than have a pretty little picture, I'm going to take you through the process. So we'll get that going. Now we are missing Bron. I am missing Bron today. I will let her know that, because it's always good fun working with her. But I'm doing this today because I'm just coming off the back of a 60-hour fast. So from 8 o'clock Sunday night Eastern Australian Standard Time, I went on fast, and then today at 8 o'clock, which was Wednesday morning, 8 a.m, I came back off the fast and started eating again. It's the first time I'd ever done that as well. I'm actually going to get my hands dirty, because it seems that it's either the hemp flour or it's the LSA meal that's gumming up a bit lumpy, but who knows, maybe that's what happens with the almond meal as well. So maybe somebody else can try it and get back to me and let me know in the comments how you go with that. So yeah, I've come off the fast, first time I've ever done that. Obviously there's been times where I haven't had a feed for quite a number of hours, or half a day to a day sort of thing, but I haven't actually fasted for 60 hours, so that was quite an experience. It was a lot. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, because I wasn't expecting. I probably didn't place too much expectation. I'm just chucking the cabbage in there, so cabbage is another ingredient. I actually chucked in a little bit of zucchini as well, and the idea when you're mixing with that is to get it all coated. So like I said, I hadn't done it before. I've probably had a bit of fear associated with what to expect. Like I've watched Bron go through hers earlier. Twice she's done it already, and this was her third time, but unfortunately she wasn't able to continue due to a surgery that she'd had. So it was advised that she didn't go through the fast this time. So yeah, I watched her, and in the first one she really struggled and really had a lot of challenges with the actual not eating part of it, and I probably wasn't a real good help because I was cooking pork chops and all sorts of things when she was coming home. So yeah, there was a bit of a challenge there for her. So that's nicely mixed up now. So I've got the bacon cooking at the moment. That should be just about ready now. The idea is to pour that batter straight over the top and then cover it up. So yeah, I was a bit nervous about going into it, but for some reason, I don't know if I'd kind of tried to mentally prepare for that earlier or not. But food wasn't a real big issue for me. It didn't really bother me that much to have it or not have it. Didn't really bother me too much to be around it either. I'm just going to squash that down a little bit to cover up this. It's quite a thick mixture too, actually. So well, it looks looking pretty good. Flicking stuff everywhere. Right, where's my lid? Let's get that over the top. Alright, so yeah, I made it through. There were times where I was feeling hungry and getting those hunger pains. I kept drinking plenty of water. Obviously had different broths and drinks that I was drinking throughout the period as well. And I also had been given a tip about taking pink Himalayan salt. So I was having a rock of pink Himalayan salt, probably towards the middle and the end, a lot more regularly than I had anticipated I would. But it did help with the hunger cravings, and it also kind of gave me a little bit of something to chew on, because if you're just drinking all the time, that's what I missed the most, I think, was having the texture in my mouth and being able to chew on something. So it was nice to have a rock in there at least. Better than nothing. So yeah, nice change from the water and the black tea and the drinks. So anyway, while that's cooking, it's about 5 to 7 minutes. So I don't know if we're going to. I can ramble on for 5 to 7 minutes, no problem. I do that all the time. But I've actually made the sauce. So the sauce I've used mayonnaise, and the recipe says about 1/4 cup. It also says to have some rice vinegar. And I actually didn't have any of that, so I've used some other balsamic vinegar. So Roman's got quite a selection in her cupboard, so I spent quite a few minutes working out which one I wanted. I think I went Italian in the end. And then some barbecue sauce as well. And it's got a bit of a punch to it when you sniff it, but it's quite nice. It looks alright. I don't know if you can see it there. It's a bit good consistency. It says to put it in a tube. I was thinking about just spooning it over and spreading it over the top. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Don't know. I might have it on the side. So the other thing I wanted to talk about, sometimes I like to do a little bit of research here and there. So at the moment I'm looking at a lot of the side effects that come from having a keto lifestyle, or as you transition through into a keto lifestyle. So one of the side effects of going keto or ketosis is sugar cravings, and a lot of us, me especially, loved sugar. And over the years I have cut it back, but obviously sugar's in just about everything in the supermarket these days, unless it grows in the ground. And so yeah, the great long-term benefits of keto diets is reduced sugar cravings and other unhealthy foods. And that's been certainly an experience that I've had. My sugar cravings are greatly reduced now, and I still like my sweet stuff, don't get me wrong, but I don't crave it anywhere near as much, and I probably don't consume as much sweet stuff either, even though I've moved over to stuff that's more of the like the sweeteners and stuff like that, and the actual amounts that I consume are much less than what I used to. Alright, so it's also possible that you initially have really strong cravings during that transition phase, and that was something that I experienced when I was transitioning into keto, and into ketosis rather. the biggest thing for me, while I was still kind of already eating fairly healthily, it wasn't actually really keto. There was some of the vegetables in there that I was consuming, you know, and not the odd pasta here and there as well, obviously. But my big go-tos were chocolate ice cream and chocolate. And so eventually I just spent 2 weeks. I cut it all out altogether for 2 weeks, and then I gradually portioned back in some sweets that were sugar-free or with a substitute. So that was how I did it, and now it's just become a normal way of life. So the end result of reduced eliminated cravings, so it's worth it. So you got to push through the end, and obviously the transition I had, and like I said, I did have a big craving for ice cream and chocolate. I don't so much anymore, which is really, really cool. And I've learnt that my diet was not too bad, and it wasn't too much of a jump for me to change and, you know, replace things. Instead of having lots of potato, I'd substitute that with more of the cabbage and, you know, all the zucchinis and eggplant, and, you know, I just had to juggle my recipes, or juggle my fruits and vegetables around a little bit. Probably not so much the fruit, obviously, because of the sugars. So now I'm on a bit of a journey of discovery. So I'm going through each week. Brendan and I work out a bit of a recipe. We usually communicate with people online, see what they want to see us do. We have a bit of fun doing it, and away we go. So that's been in there for a few minutes now. Hopefully it's about 5 to 7. I don't know. I'm not counting. Maybe you are. Let's see. It smells like it's cooking anyway. Doesn't seem like it's going to be flipping too easy for me, but the best thing about it is it all goes down the same way, so it probably doesn't really matter. So we're going to give it a bit of a flip. Looks like it's going to go over in about 3 bits. That's alright. The desired kind of results there. It looks pretty tasty anyway. Let's give it a little bit more heat for this side. So there you go. It's looking pretty good. It smells alright too, I can tell you. I'm definitely looking forward to experimenting with this recipe again. So like I said, I will post the recipe on, well, not the recipe actually, I'll put the link into the comments. You can chase it to there if you'd like to go there and check it out, have a crack at it yourself. If you follow the recipe and you get a better result than what I'm getting, then please chuck a comment in there and let me know that it works better with almond flour than it does with the hemp flour or the hemp meal that I'm using today. You can probably do some variations on the sauce. You can definitely do some variations in there. Like I said, the name roughly translates to how you like it, so it gives you the freedom to do with it whatever you like. Mix and match, maybe look at a few different recipes and have a few different cracks at it. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there because I really want to get stuck into it. I really enjoyed the one down at the Beach Street Markets down in Brisbane there. This is smelling pretty bloody awesome. I can tell you after 60 hours of not eating, anything will taste great. So I'm out of here. Catch you next time. I'll have Brodman with me. Have fun.